So imagine someone coming all the way from Africa and then trying to speak in that Black culture class. I don't understand what the people are saying. They don't understand what I'm saying. Well, it got better.
So okay. So now going ahead, once you finally came to the U.S., you talked about your first perception of the U.S. via New York.
Yes.
And so, what are some of the things that stood out to you most?
In New York?
In general, in the U.S., but maybe in New York. You can start there.
Okay. I remembered that the food. Yes, there are 3 things that would stay for a long time. I'll stay with you longer when you move internationally, move to a different place. And that is the music. That will be the second one. Will be your music, food, and language. Yeah. The first thing, the music. I'm like, oh my God, what a listening to over here. Give me some nice Yoruba music where I can dance to. That was fun. The second one was the food. So we went to eat hamburger, and this is my aunts in New York said, "We'll take you to McDonald's to eat hamburger." And I saw this thing and little egusi seeds on top, melon seeds on top. And I thought, why would there be melon seed on my bread? I cannot eat that. So I was picking the melon seed off. And then there's this meat in the middle and the cheese and stuff. I was like, I cannot eat this. So I didn't eat that. I ate the bread, maybe the fries. But anyways, that was a little strange. I'm like, crap, I'm in America. I'm going to starve. This is not food I should eat. I cannot eat this. Anyways, that was that.
Things we take for granted, like sesame seeds.
Yes. And then we arrived in Louisiana. And what was another? Oh, I lost my train of thought. So the culture, language. Language is the third thing. I realized I was practicing my American English. I was like, I even told my friends at school, I need to learn how to speak American because so that I can communicate with them over there. And then we got to Louisiana. I remember at school because I was 15 when I entered college.
15, right?
Yes, I entered college 15. He said, I don't understand what you're saying. And I remember they would ask me again, come again, can you come again, can you come again? I'm like, I get frustrated. Why are you asking me again? I'm speaking the same English you're speaking. And then also when they speak, I don't understand because there's American English and then there's Louisiana English. I don't understand it. It's very twangy. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's very different dialect.
Southern and a little bit different.
Even depending on where you're at in Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
Like New Orleans versus Baton Rouge.
So imagine someone coming all the way from Africa to Louisiana and then trying to speak in that Black culture class. I don't understand what the people are saying. They don't understand what I'm saying. When I'm frustrated, people are asking me 3 times, repeat yourself, repeat yourself. That was frustrating. Well, it got better, but that was a little bit of a culture shock there. Yeah.
So you're talking about, you almost immediately went into college as soon as you got here.
Yes.
So what, did you go to one school? Did you go to several schools? Like, what was that experience for you?
Yes. At first, I went to HBCU, Historical Black College University. It was nice, and it was a small kind of school, a small community. It's mainly African American, and maybe some Africans here and there. And it was a nice experience. But I felt like I came to America. Why am I only seeing? I mean, I came from Africa, but I thought this is America. Why is there only just people of African American? Why not everybody? I want to go to a school where it's only everybody. And right next to that school was and then there was another university, and I transferred to that university, and it was, I met all these international people, and it was a really nice experience because I thought
that was like a public university.
It was a public university. Okay. Yes, so I figured, I want to meet everybody. This is America. I thought it was a melting pot. I want to meet everybody, not just a specific group of people. Everybody is a melting pot, So it was a good experience for me, and actually that is how God, used it to speed away my broadening my mind, or whatever you say, speed my mind into grad school and other stuff. Basically, my way towards how we met. I'm not sure if we were met if I only went to HBCU.
But who did you generally hang out with, like in the public university? Like who were your friends and things like that?
Mostly people in the international realms. My best friend is from Pakistan, and I have friends from Colombia, Hispanic friends. I have, people who are friends with people in that community, basically, of international people who want to know about people from all over the world.
So yes. Why is that? Did that mean that like non-internationals, meaning like I guess the people who had lived in Louisiana for several generations, were they less open, or like why was that? Why were you not friends with them?
I guess it has to do with a little bit more ignorance, I would say. Because
in what way?
People are always, when they see you, they think you need a helping hand. Like they need to ask you, is there a king of Africa? Is there rain in Africa? Is there this in Africa? And things like that. And it gets a little bit frustrating. I'm like, if you're about to talk to me, I thought you would maybe educate a little bit of yourself a little bit before asking this very ignorant question.
So my experience wasn't all rosy down south. One experience that came particularly stuck with me was when I was in university. I was in the pre-med program, so my friends and I had a lot of friends. I had, girlfriends and guy friends too. So me and my guy friends, we were doing was one of the labs. We were doing our homework, and actually one in particular, my good friend, we went by the lake, maybe eating sandwiches and finish up our homework. So we were working and all that, and he mentioned, well, I like you a lot, I'm like, oh, I like you too, you're my good friend. And he mentioned, but I can't see myself with a woman like you. And I'm like, what? And he said, no, it's not you. It's just that your skin tone, it's just too dark for me. And I'm like, wow. Ouch, that hurts. Because I didn't create my skin tone, I actually took it to heart. It hurt a lot. And I went and buy some skin toner. And hey, again, I was 18 years old at this time. I was about finishing up my undergrad. So I went to get some toner, skin toner, and lotion to tone the skin. And I was like, maybe I could make it a little bit lighter, because I don't want it to be too dark, because, apparently it's not good enough for some people. And, but the thing about the southern sun is that it just, it's so hot down there, it doesn't really work. So I gave up on that pretty quickly. I'm like, what am I going to do now? Anyway, but my experiences down south had not always been all rosy. You could say that. I just wanted to, just an encouragement to all of my cousins, the younger ones out there who are watching. It took me a long time to figure this out. And it is that to the wrong guy, you're not gonna be enough. Your beauty is not gonna be enough. Your skin tone, your talent, your everything. You will not be enough. But to the right guy, everything you do will be just right. You will be enough. You'll be beautiful enough. Everything about you will be just enough. And just perfect for that man. I hope that this gives you some encouragement that, yes, one day you'll find this man who will think that you're enough. And everything that you do, you'll be pretty enough for this man. And everything that you do will be good enough for him. I hope this brings some encouragement to you ladies.
So I'm like, I want to be with people with broader minds people actually know that. Oh yes, there are many countries all over the world. There are many countries in Africa, and there are many peoples all over the world, and people who are free to want to be friends with you no matter where you come from, not asking you, oh, you live on trees, oh, this and that, you know, a little bit more broader minded, I suppose. Yeah, maybe a little bit more close-minded because they don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I know one of my brothers told me when he first came back from abroad. When he had studied abroad, and he told me the same thing. He said, you know, with my friends that I've known forever, I try to talk to them about my experiences, and their face just kind of goes blank, and they just kind of space out. And he just realized, okay, so I can't really talk to them about these things because it's like their brain can't quite get it because there's nothing that they can relate it to, because it's just outside, so far outside of their sphere, you know, they just don't quite get it. So I remember that, and I kind of kept that in mind when I came back too, was don't be disappointed if the people you talk to just don't really want to hear it. It's not like they don't want to hear it, it's just that they don't understand it and they can't connect on that level. So I could see it in that way, you know, and it's not necessarily their fault, it's just their lack of experience in general, I guess, with international topics and things like that, and ever having gone, you know, to those places or anything. So yeah, you're gonna have questions like, if all you've ever seen about Africa are
National Geographic
people half naked and these large animals, then yeah, you're gonna think that. I suppose. True. But yeah, so that you just kind of got tired of that.
Oh yeah, it was very frustrating, but I'm glad I was able to make friends who, you know, who understand, who have broader mindset. You know, I was friends with people from all over the world. Think of it. Think of that place. I have friends from all over the world. It was, yeah. I actually remember on my 21st. I actually remember I was on my 21st birthday. I remember I was the one that brought all of these people together. Kind of like how you said you were when you were leaving Colombia on your school, and you brought all of these people together and tell them to, okay, now, you know, get together or whatever. It's similar to that in the sense that, yeah, it was my 21st birthday, and I had people from Pakistan, from South America, from... It was really nice to see. It was a nice melting pot, and I know they were there because of all of our friendship. But yeah, it was so nice. See that. It was so nice.
So I guess a little bit on that is how ahí juega con tu hermana. So how did people treat you? I guess, like how did Americans in general? Because you already talked about how international students or international people with international backgrounds are a lot more open.
They're more open.
So how do people treat you? Like, how did Americans treat you in general?
Well, there's this thing about people have to fit in the boxes, you know. In America, you have to check the demographics and stuff. So when people, you know, people see me, oh yeah, African American, until maybe they hear how I talk, and then they kind of slow down a little bit. Wait, where are you from? Because you have a slight accent. And I tell them, Nigeria. Oh, okay, I have friends from, from South Africa. I'm like, oh, I have friends from Ethiopia. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, they would try to say, oh yeah, you know, I know someone from Africa, you know, at least from Morocco, from Egypt, and all that.
Yeah,
but,
they try.
They try for the most part. But other people, you know, they don't even care. Oh yeah, African American, whatever. They just see you, just give you a label, and they just pick up their stereotype, whatever they want to think of you. They think of it.
So they see you, and they immediately put you in one box.
Yes.
Then they hear you, and they realize, wait, that box might not quite fit.
Right.
And then they try to put you in another box.
Yeah. But yeah.
So then and if they had experience with, you know, people from Africa at large, right? I mean, I guess saying, oh yeah, I have friends from Ethiopia is kind of like meeting a Texan or a Mexican and saying, oh yeah, I got friends from Quebec. Yeah, and it's like, that's cool. I mean, I don't know what to do with that,
Right.
but sure. Right. Same continent. You're right.
Yes.
You're right. But so if
Oh
someone
my
didn't
gosh.
even have that,
Yeah.
like,
I see.
how would they place you?
Oh yeah, they just
Like, how would they talk to
they
you?
just talk the same the idea of what they have in their mind, the stereotype of what they have. They just put it on me, I suppose. Oh yeah. Oh, this one has dark skin. We put African American or what they put on there. So they don't. I suppose I don't know how they place me. I don't know. They just.
No, I was just curious, like,
Mm-hmm.
how you were treated. How did
At
African Americans treat you then?
Oh well, I mean, see, this comes in place. This comes in play with everyone. People who.
'Cause, I mean, when I asked you the question, I was thinking like everyone in the U.S. You know, I wasn't thinking like African Americans as a special group.
Oh,
But
okay.
but I guess now that you bring it up, you know that there are these boxes that Americans have.
Yes.
So some people would see you as African American. So what if those people consider themselves African American as well?
Mm.
Then how would they see you?
Yeah.
Like they would first see you as African American.
Yeah, one of us, and
Okay.
then when I start talking, they're like, "Where are you from?" Nigeria. Oh, and sometimes some people have friends in the African community. They have friends who are African. Like, oh yeah, I have friends who are this and that, and they kind of sort of, you know, they're okay with that. But for the most part, I mean, if they don't have anyone from the friends with African people, they usually are a little bit mean, like a little bit like, okay, whatever, you and those Africans, you know, a little bit like you're not part of us, basically. Especially because I speak like this. I don't have an African American accent. If I do, then I'll fit in that community, but I don't have that accent, so and I can try to force it, but it won't come. So so yeah. If you don't have that accent, I guess this is where the language is what brings people together, and the skin color too, or whatever. Yeah, but I don't have that, and I don't fit in that box.
So in other words, I guess your treatment by Americans in general was kind of outsider.
Yes.
For the most part.
For the most part,
And
yes.
then the people with international background were
more
more like,
welcoming.
we're all outside. We're all
Yes.
you people, and we're all together. And yeah. Well, that's cool. And what was that like then? So you're talking about your undergrad experience.
Yes.
So then leaving Louisiana, going to other states, you know, and then ultimately going to grad school, like, did you keep that mindset, or like what experiences did you undergo after that?
Well,
Like, did people treat you different in different places?
Yes, after leaving Louisiana, and then coming to the Midwest for grad school, it was a little bit different.
So you're talking about an undergrad. You you know, you were in the international community. There's a lot of people with, you know, more open minds, a lot more exchange of ideas, looking at you as like another person, right? Was that at all different? Did your experience change later on? Like when you moved to different states, when you went to grad school, did you have different experiences where people were not the same way? Like they were not seeing you as like another person. They were seeing you as maybe different or something. I don't know. I'm like putting words in your mouth, but.
Well, I guess when I came Midwest for grad school, in the university, they put everybody, you know, if you have darker skin, you belong in that category. It doesn't matter where you come from. I mean, you can have there's another maybe social event of African Student Association and all that. But for the most part, if you have darker skin, it doesn't matter. At school, they have to give you a minority mentor because of the color of your skin. They have to put you in a category because obviously you're like a handicap and you need help, basically. So that is the sense I got. Well, that was what happened actually coming to grad school in the Midwest. It was a little bit, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened to the freedom I got in the international community back in down south? Everyone was fine with everybody. How did that change over here in the Midwest? Everyone just, yeah, even
So you were
if I
like,
have
so
an
you were like
accent.
funneled or into specific categories immediately.
Yes, even if I
And you were
have,
given like an advisor.
yes, an advisor,
mentor
a
and-
minority advisor, a mentor. Yes.
And what did that mean? Did that mean that
I
they were a
don't-
minority, or what did that mean?
No, they're not minority. I don't even know. I didn't go to that. I maybe one time. I don't know that I needed. I
Did it
don't.
help you in any special
No,
way?
no. I was just wondering.
What was the
No
purpose?
one else has that. Minority. They don't. Everyone else in the school, in the class, didn't have a mentor like that. Why is it just me picked out and maybe some other student because of the color of our skin, saying there's something wrong with us, or why do we have this mentor? So that actually put something in me, make me think, oh my gosh, I'm different. There's something wrong with me. In my mind, I didn't fit African American community. And here, I say I'm Nigerian American, but that doesn't matter. They just put you, this is what you are, basically. I'm like, what do you do about that? It brought me down a lot until I met you, because I thought, okay, this is going downward for me after,
Yeah,
leaving school.
you told me you were starting to feel like where it was like everyone was like you were always thinking about what someone might be thinking about you.
Well,
Right?
it got to that point because when someone you can tell when someone sees you and they look at you up and down, you can tell that they're judging you. You can tell. We'll call it like, what else? What can you call it?
Sensitive? to those
I
things,
suppose
guess?
sensitive. Yes, if that has happened to you many times, you become very sensitive. Sensitive to such
Oh,
things.
okay, I see.
Yeah,
No,
so-
I was just remembering because I remember there were times where it was like, someone might have just been in a bad mood, or someone might have just been a mean person in general, grumpy person in general, and the tendency was, like you said, because you've experienced it in these ways, that you would take even that as, oh, maybe they think of me a certain way because of the color of my skin or something like that.
Yeah, but it's a nice.
But you said you didn't have that before.
I
grad
didn't
school.
have that before. Yeah, and it's a nice thing to just think
Especially
that
coming
when,
from Nigeria. Yeah, you
right
didn't have
when
that.
someone is just being mean or rude, to just have that thing, to just have oh, they must have a bad day, or that's
Putting it on them.
right. It's so nice and freeing to have that. But when it came here, it was becoming even more heavier and heavier, thinking, oh gosh, everything is because of the color of my skin, basically. And it's becoming more and more so. I mean, I came to school, and the first thing they do, it doesn't matter where I'm from, they just put you in one category because of the color of my skin. How am I supposed to take the world after that? Everything is now shaded in that way because now it's yeah. But I'm glad that
And also what you studied, right? Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish what you were saying.
yeah, I'm glad that I'm glad that I met you because it freed a lot of that in my head, thinking, knowing now that if someone is thinking bad about you, it's not, it's their
Bella, ven
fault.
aquí.
Oye, Mabo.
Ven aquí,
No
hija.
sukun.
¿Qué te ha pasado? Oh, pues
Ah,
Leo.
nípa ṣe tán mọ́.
Pues Leo.
Oh, okay.
Pues Leo.
Okay.
So,
You said my work.
where's that? Oh yeah, and then also your studies too. Like when you're studying, because you're studying public health,
Public health.
and so you were kind of hit day after day with that sort of racial stuff, right? The divides and everything, the differences between peoples and everything. Like, what was that experience like for you? Like, what kind of things were you kind of inundated with all the time?
Oh my gosh, yes, in class, and they would tell us about, oh yeah, the social disparities in America, and basically everything that America has that is bad. You know who has it worse? It's the African American and then the Hispanic. But African American has the worst on the chart. Oh, think about people who are more susceptible. I can't say that word. Susceptible to having all this problem. And
When it came to like health statistics,
oh yes,
and things like that,
health
it was just
statistics.
like-
Oh yeah, everyone that has it worse. is the African American, and then the Hispanic, of course, because but African American is down low on the chart, and in the class we will, you know, we will look at ourselves like, is it me or is everything like have everyone who, if you are darker skin, you have it bad and you have it worse, and then even the students who are not who have a little bit lighter skin be like, oh yeah, African Americans, they do have it really bad. It's really tough for them. And I'm like, hello, no, that's not true. But how do you say that in the class?
You mean it's not true because again, this is a hard concept for people in general, I think, and it has to do with the fact that, okay, you have numbers, you have statistics, you have things like this, and I think this goes across the board. It's not just with African Americans, it's all sorts of groups of people and things like that where this happens, but it's where you don't see the people through the numbers, right? You don't see that, okay, there are numbers and we're doing this kind of weird sort of categorization of, you know, race or something, that we're kind of, you know, making up this sort of category, and we're trying to say that people are in this category, but how do you count who's in that category? How do you, and why does that even, you know, make a difference? For some things it can help, right? It shows where, okay, historically this has, you know, been affecting groups of people who were grouped because of the color of their skin. So that I understand. But the tough part is what you experienced and what other students who were not considered in that group, in that category, also experiencing, which is, oh, we hear all these numbers, we hear this group, this person has these features, therefore they are part of this group, and it's just something that's really hard to separate from, and people, it's natural for us to make groups, so when we see these numbers, we place it to people, right? And but it's not good, right? Because then we're placing all of these things. You know, people call it stereotypes, people call it all this stuff, but it's hard for humans not to take those things and place it on people. And if they're not trained to, you know, break those two things and say, okay, here are numbers, here are things like this, but remember, these categories are pretty dang arbitrary, and they're only useful for like historical prejudices and things like that. They're not useful for looking at your classmate. They're not useful for looking at so-and-so down the road, right? So it's really tough. And if that's what you hear and you know that you're being categorized in that way, it's like, okay, all this stuff is now on me. And just as I know I'm talking now, but just as an anecdote, there was a couple that we knew who, and this made me so sad, was they had just had their first child, and the woman had been so frightened because they were African American. I think the husband, I think he had African ancestry, like recent African ancestry, and but they were but she was so frightened of SIDS, like you know, sudden infant death syndrome, like that her child was just suddenly going to die because they were in that African American category, and the numbers are really high for African American. Not that, okay, SIDS, you know, well, as long as you're not putting stuff in their crib, you know, as long as you're not putting all these things on the crib, then it's going to be good. Like things like that, where you just see these numbers and immediately you have this fear of, oh, that can happen to me, right? For example, that you think it's like genetic almost, that SIDS is genetic, that this has to do with the color of the skin, that it's something that's bound to you, like intrinsic to you because of these numbers, and that I think is what has to be broken, especially in higher education. Like that has to be broken, because it's like, no, those things, they're not the same, but our human nature wants to make it the same. You know, like diabetes, and say, oh, they all, you know, African Americans have the highest rates of diabetes or whatever, and it's like, oh, it must be genetic. You know, I can't do anything about it. No, you just, but there are also, you know, groups of people that are eating certain things and eating other things. So things like that, where it almost makes it to where you're like, oh my gosh, this is just who I am. And
I mean, that's what they said us in school too, in public health. And they're like, yeah, if you live to be, don't worry about it. If you live to be 70, by the time you're 70, you probably already have a cancer or two, or it's like hopelessness. Like it's gonna happen. But that was no anyone.
And then they would say, but if you're 50 and African American, then you're already gonna have it. So like that kind of stuff, where it's just like still separating groups of people out, and also saying, oh, guess what? Because of the color of your skin, you're part of this group, and it's just like, no, you know, people are people. People make
Right.
decisions. There might be
Yes.
trends within arbitrary groups of people, but you know, that doesn't mean that you look at someone and say that you are this because of how, I mean, your experience of how it affected you.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember you telling me about it, how heavy it was on you,
yeah.
and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is, because I mean, I never knew how heavy that could be, you know, and it doesn't have to be, you know, and that's the tough part, you know, just that no one talks about these things, you know, it's just really heavy. But anyways, so we forgot one very important question. What was it like visiting Nigeria after having lived in the US for a while? Well, first off, how long had you lived in the US before going back?
Before going back, it was 9 years.
Okay.
So it was good to see people that I haven't seen in 9 years. Everyone has grown, obviously. Everyone's just older now, but it was sad to see the states of affairs in Nigeria. A lot of things were still the same. A lot of bigger potholes and bigger infrastructure that I left. And the airport, for example, we left it and it was in good condition. Now it's worse than ever, and it just looks like someone hasn't been here recently. It looks really, really bad.
Like not taken care of.
Yeah, poorly maintained, and
didn't you say the escalators had stopped?
Escalators have stopped working, and electricity worsened. It doesn't. The NEPA, the electric company, they took power in the airport. I remember standing in line and there was no electricity.
And the power just turned on.
They had to turn on the generator or something.
Wow.
Yeah, and the entire airport, the power went off. It was crazy. Jeez. So it was nice to see people that we haven't seen in that long. But again, going back, even though I speak the language, now they see us as me and my siblings, and all of us coming from abroad, they see us as outsiders because they say, now you have an accent. You're from abroad. You're not. Yeah, they basically called us Oyibo, basically foreigner.
Even though you were speaking Yoruba, they were speaking English.
Yes, they didn't even. Yeah.
That's so wild.
Yeah, they saw us as foreigners, and it was different. I mean, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, I missed the food. I missed the people. I missed, you know, just being around people I grew up with. But I guess I didn't miss the hustle. I didn't miss the craziness of Nigeria and how, you know, everything is just, I don't know. I didn't miss the potholes.
What does the mean? Is that like...
Especially, you know, we were in Lagos.
Like the hecticness?
The hecticness is there's the crazy traffic and crazy... it's just... It's not... I mean, I just miss the hustle. No, I don't miss the hustle. I don't miss that. Everyone's all going, and everyone is. A lot of people are always angry. Also, everyone's angry at something or someone or
like out of my way. I gotta go where I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fast. Angry. Anyway.
But was that just Lagos, or was it like that outside of the big city?
Yeah, that's mostly Lagos. Yes, mostly. I mean, that is like 24 million people, so you can expect that. But outside of Lagos, it's a little bit cool and calmer than that. But yeah, the big potholes and, you know, vehicles breaking down left and right and all this stuff.
Lack of infrastructure.
Yeah, lack of infrastructure. Yeah. So yeah. And we actually brought our Americans friends with us, and they were like, "Oh wow, this is what Nigeria is like." At least I can check it off on my list, say that I've seen Nigeria. But they were like, "Ooh, yikes, this is it." I guess they were expecting a little bit more.
Because you had been talking them up.
I suppose. I went to my sister's traditional wedding in Nigeria, Supposed, yeah, they were expecting a little bit more. And
then you were
the
saying stuff. You were like, "Oh yeah, it's a lot better, you know, than what you normally see. Like, here's all these videos,
yeah,
like these Bentleys and stuff."
And the first thing they saw at the airport is that the conveyor belt didn't work because, you know, there was no electricity. So, and then there's no AC in the entire airport, and then there's no toilet paper in the bathroom in the entire airport, and you know, in some of the some of the bathrooms. So they saw that, they were like, "Oh, this is Nigeria! Oof, yikes! Oof!" I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Because didn't you even tell them, "Oh yeah, it's like a brand new airport. It's like really nice and all this kind of stuff," and they're like,
supposed to be, but that was 9 years before that.
Right.
Yeah, it was nice, but everything had changed for the worse.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Didn't they also compare Nigeria to like where they had been before or something?
Jamaica.
Right.
Yeah, imagine comparing it. Well, I shouldn't say anything.
Nothing bad about Jamaica.
There's nothing bad about Jamaica, but you know, I mean, a whole Nigeria, the entire, supposedly the heartbeat of Africa, but it's a faulty heartbeat. It's got issues. Yeah. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm apologizing on behalf of, yeah.
It just wasn't like you remembered it.
It's a lot of things have changed for the worse.
And you weren't like people remembered you either.
Oh yeah, I changed too, I suppose. My accent changed, and I thought I was speaking the same Yoruba I was speaking, but apparently it wasn't. It's changed, but
right.
It's what it is.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the way you, I guess, whenever you leave a country, your culture, like pop culture and everything, is stuck in the moment that you left.
Oh yeah.
So like all of the music that you listened to, everything stopped.
It stopped at that
right
year
when
we went
2007.
Yeah, 2007. I have to say 2017, 2007. Yeah, everything stopped then. So in
your mind, that's still current.
And then we went back, and I was saying, "Oh yeah, all this AG world music and Beautiful Nubia," and they're like, "This music, those are old school music."
Yeah, that was like 10 years before, right, 10 years before.
Right, we're now listening to this pop, and then they introduced us to the new thing, Kiss Daniel, and all them, and the era and all that.
And now that's still where you're kind of stuck.
Right. Yep.
Sort of.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
It is interesting.
Yeah, the same thing happened with Spain, and like all the European music I was listening to, like I'm still listening to that, and it's been over a decade. It's crazy. And also, I remember when you were interviewing Ayo, you brought up kind of not the issue, but the topic of like religion at least among the Yoruba ethnic group, that religion. Well, you can explain it. What you were trying to say.
Right, is that you know, when in the Hausa land, there's tension between Muslim and Christian. They're always fighting and all
like
that
in the
stuff.
north, you mean?
In the north,
yeah,
Nigeria north. But when you come to the south, I remember when I think it was in Ishiwo, and I was probably 7, 8, probably 8 years old, and I remember we were invited to a mosque. And that is a Anglican reverend, and invited to a mosque. Just to
you mean the family of an Anglican reverend being
invited to a mosque, and yeah, we're all invited to send forth, because we live in that little village, and everyone was there, the Muslims, and then they were giving us gifts. You've done so much for this community, thank you so much, and this and that, and singing for us, and just very welcoming. This is Yoruba people and the Muslim. And even traditional worshippers, they will come to church when we're in one of the small villages. So everyone is very, very together, in the sense that religion does not divide people. So it was very, very sad to see, you know, up north, when people are always clashing, the Muslim and Christian, oh, this and that, this versus this. So it's not like that I know of growing up. You know, everyone is just. Yeah, you know, we're all worshiping God. We are one people, basically, you know. We're not letting religion divide us. It has always been that. And it's one thing that I admire about this, at least the southern part of Nigeria, they're very, it doesn't matter who you are doing, what you're doing. Yeah, you know, we're all together, basically. Yeah.
Didn't you say for like Christmas, the Christians will give, and then for Eid?
Yes.
Yeah, how did that work?
For Christmas, I remember my friend was right, and we would give her Christmas chicken and food, and then for their celebration is Eid al-Fitr, they will bring us ram and jollof rice, and yeah. So the thing is, when there's a celebration, we're all looking forward to it because, you know, it's your friends.
You're looking forward to the other religions.
So, you know, that your friend will bring you food, and then when it's our, you know, celebration, we bring them food. So everyone's all celebrating. Like, what do you celebrate? Oh, it's Eid al-Fitr. Okay, where's my food? We're all rejoicing and happy for each other. So I like the togetherness in that. Why would religion separate and bring people apart? You know.
That's
so
cool.
Like that.
Oh yeah, and you also brought up the thing about animals and whether they're eaten or not, the domestic animals. So could you talk a little bit about like how that works in Nigeria? Like, are there pets? How do farm animals work? Like, how does all that work?
I mean,
at least in the towns where you were living.
Yes, they're free roaming basically for the most part.
What are?
We have goats, chickens.
Nigerian dwarf goats.
Oh, Nigerian dwarf goats.
Everywhere.
Yes, and then there are chickens, hens of all different kinds, roosters, everywhere. Oh, yeah, but maybe they put some kind of a ribbon on their goat's neck to differentiate whose goat is there, so you don't mixed up, because they all look basically similar. But no, there's goats roaming the streets, there's chickens roaming the street, and yeah, you just know that is Yasikira's goat. That's my chicken over here and all that. But other than some theft here and there, basically they're usually fine, just roaming the street. And
Well, what keeps people from thieving?
Oh, well, it's the idea that if you take someone's goat, they will curse you, basically, or something like that.
You'll be cursed?
You'll be cursed.
Okay.
Or if someone catches you, you're in trouble. But if no one catches you, know that they will curse you through the goat or through the chicken that you stole, basically. So people,
if you eat it, especially.
Yeah. So people tend to stay away from other people's.
That's interesting.
Yeah, things like that.
So those are like the farm animal type stuff. They're just kind of roaming, eating whatever somehow.
Yeah, unless you
they
have
still
a
gain
big
weight.
yard. Unless you have a big yard where you have your animals in the yard. But other than that, yeah, they just roam to eat garbage, to eat whatever they can find. Yeah.
Okay. What about like domestic animals, like in the home? How, like cats, dogs, gerbils?
There's Bingo.
And what is Bingo?
Bingo is a Nigerian dog. And I don't know how to explain it.
Is it a special type of like special breed?
No, you just call any dog Bingo, basically.
So basically bingos roam the streets.
Yes.
And they're basically any kind of breed. They're just a dog in general.
Yes, basically they roam the street, and cats also, they roam the street. I mean, they help kill any rodents. They're roaming about the street. But yeah, basically they roam the street.
But do people ever have like cats in their homes?
No. Cats is bad luck.
Ha.
Why would you have
It's bad
cats
luck, but they eat mice. So they're just...
they're allowed in the barn or in the, in the, if you have a big...
But you don't see people going around feeding cats?
No. Oh gosh, no.
What about dogs?
They feed chickens.
They feed their chickens, okay. To fatten them up, or to get eggs.
Right, yeah. But for eggs, yeah. But dogs, what's the usefulness for a dog? But nowadays, you see all these dogs pop up, and then you see German Shepherd and this and that. Rich people, they have a big dog to protect their house and all that. But before then, no, they're just dogs roaming about. And you're very careful of dogs so you don't get bitten by one because you have rabies or something. But yeah, dogs roam the street. All these animals roam the street for the most part. And yeah, just everywhere.
So what kind of animals did you all have? I mean, were they primarily just for eating, or were they... Yeah,
if you have an animal, it's for eating, unless you have a big house and you have a big dog to come
to protect your compound. But other than that, you have chickens and goats and maybe some pigs too.
Like, what memories do you have growing up of?
Chickens, definitely chickens. The one that bit my face. And we've had chickens in mostly a lot of places would be. I remember we were at a little apartment, the one in Sabo, and I remember it was a Christmas chicken, but it wasn't Christmas yet. So I'm like, I begged him, Mommy, can I please keep this chicken? She's like, okay, you have to take care of it. And okay, Mommy. Took care of it, put it in one of our rooms in the apartment. We lay one egg every day until Christmas Day, and then we killed it. A small little chicken. Oh, it was big enough size chicken, and it was nice chicken. And I remember one time that in Ondo State, I saw some dogs on the side of the road. They were selling them, and I was like, Mommy, can I please buy a dog? Because they know my love for animals. It's like, okay, but you have to take care of it. I'm like, okay, yes, thank you, Mommy. And I bought this little bingo dog, and we're not allowed to have dogs in the apartment. But I was like, oh, okay, I have to be secretive about this dog. So I put it in one of those rooms. The chicken was no longer there, so now it's the dog's room. So I took care of it. I would feed it and give it food and all that stuff.
Feed it Eba.
Yeah, it's obiata and all this food that we eat. Whatever we eat, we give it. Until it got a little bit bigger, and then it would start barking. And then the landlord could hear, and they're like, you have a dog. And one time I took it downstairs to go pee or poop or something. And they saw it, and they're like, okay, this has got to go. So we gave it to, Mommy bless, so Mommy blessing. She's a neighbor of ours, and they have a bigger house, and they're like, okay, you can take care of it. And they took it from us, and they took care of it. I was so sad. I'm like, oh my gosh.
What about the goats?
Oh, we didn't have goats, but in the villages. Well, when we lived in the city, we didn't have goats, but in the villages, yeah, we have goats. I remember we didn't really raise goats, but when we have goats, it would just be to buy at the market to come kill for some big celebration or something.
And how did they bring it? Like, how did your dad bring a goat back?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't think he would do that. I mean, maybe he has someone to do that.
Oh, okay. I thought you said he'd put it on the motorcycle.
I mean, this is how people do it.
Right.
Just put it on Okada. Okada is the motorcycle. Yes. Just put it.
Motorcycle taxi.
Yeah, and put it on you, and just tell the Okada man to go to your house, and when you're done, because you already tied the legs, so it won't run off from the Okada. So tie it on the Okada, and then you take it. Yeah, take it to your house and to go kill it, slaughter it, and stuff.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, my dear. Muchísimas gracias. So, do you have any? What would you like to say to our viewers? What would you like to say, maybe related to your experience, or maybe not? Yeah, that might, I don't know, encourage our viewers to view, your experiences of others, and have a broader mindset.
Yes, I suppose I would like to tell everybody who's watching that people, is to see people as people, no matter where you come from. I mean, like I said the other time on Ayo's interview, people, you might think that your culture is so different from this people's culture. Yeah, it's so different, but if you take a look at it, it might be different, but it's also very similar in a way. Because look at them, if you're talking about people in West Africa and they cook fufu and they put some stew next to it and they eat, and this is the type of food they eat. If you go to is it South America or any other cultures all around the world, the same type of concept applies. So at the end of the day, it is still the same kind of food that we're all eating. We're all different. That is true. God made us all different. But at the end of the day, we're still very similar. Very similar than we think we are, So it's to go out there, see people as people. No matter what the skin color is, no matter where you come from, see people as people. And if you go back to that basics to see everyone as people, not because of this tribe versus this tribe, to see them all as God's creation, we will go far together in the world. And kí àlàáfíà, ayọ̀ àti ìdùnnú kí ó má ṣe kúrò ní ọ̀dẹ̀dẹ̀ gbogbo wa o. Ẹ ṣeun.
Mil gracias. And I liked yeah, and I liked the the metaphor of the stews and the fufu. Bueno, mil gracias a todos nuestros televidentes y estáis invitados a nuestro próximo episodio en que vamos a entrevistar a otra gente. Será una sorpresa, pero os esperaremos aquí. Hasta luego.
Ó dàbọ̀.
Oh, okay, very interesting.